I thought my surname was a little bit easier, but apparently it's equally difficult. Good morning to all. It's great to be here. Last week, exactly this time last week, I was a speaker at Reflect Festival in Limassol, which for those who don't know what this is the Posidonia of the tech industry. So it was 5 stages, 8,000 people, presentations all over, drones dancing in the sky, people's dancing on the ground. It was technology on steroids. But it was not all about technologies. It was also about people. And there was a special stage for me, which was all about people, and that's where I spent most of my time as a speaker, as a moderator of a roundtable discussion. So in that roundtable discussion, I asked the people who were the chief people officers of these tech companies, were the head of people, the CEOs, what keeps them up at night? And I gave them 10 options. So number 1 came attracting and retaining talent. And number 2 was leadership development, which makes this presentation very relevant to what is happening today. And I'll present to you some things that are not only applicable to the tech industry or any industry, it's actually common to all the industries, and I'll explain why. So I'm Cleo. I joined PwC in 1992 when I returned from the UK, where I went to pursue my dream to become a dancer. Now, how I qualified as an accountant is a different story for another day. But I've been with PwC 31 years. 10 years after I joined and 3 kids later, I became the first female partner. It was me and 33 men. So I know all about inclusion and diversity, and I'll talk a little bit about that because it's my passion. And actually had 3 careers in PwC so far. So today, I'm wearing different hats. These are my titles, as you can see there. What I actually do, I am actually taking whatever you guys don't want to do internally and you want to outsource, I'll take it, whether this is bookkeeping, accounting, VAT, tax, audit, project management, risk management, loan monitoring, transaction monitoring, project management, anything you don't want to do, we take it and we do it inside. That's my first hat. The second hat, I'm the Chief Inclusion and Diversity Officer. What does that mean is we're trying to build in PwC, as Maria explained in Microsoft, a similar thing internally, so build an inclusive environment for people to thrive. But also, having done that for 10 years, we're now taking it outside and we're helping clients build strategies and work on inclusion and diversity. And as a Chief Learning Officer, I'm the head of the PwC Academy. And under the Academy, we train 1,100 people internally and thousands of people externally, whether these are open seminars or bespoke seminars we do for clients. So that's what I do and what I am. Now, who I am, I describe myself as a positively energized corporate rebel. And actually sit on the board as a rebel. So that will tell you a lot about diversity and how seriously we take it in PwC. I'm actually an impactful problem solver, and my passion is people growth. That's what really gets me out of bed every morning. And my purpose is to touch positively people's lives. And I'm here to help you touch positively people's lives by sharing some information, some knowledge, some expertise from my internal work as well as the external work as a consultant, so you can sort of help your people grow. So we talked a lot about, the new normal and crisis. I think we had a tsunami of crisis over the last 10 years. I was with Blair Shepard, who is the global head of strategy in PwC. He came from the US to Cyprus last week, and I had him in a studio for an interview for 2 hours, and he was sharing past, present, and future. And what he has said is that this tsunami of crisis is just the new normal. It will keep coming and coming and coming. We better get used to that. But all these crises are actually affecting the workforce. So if we look at what's happening in the workforce today, and that's actually also what Blair is saying, is that there's a wide skills shortage, there's a shortage of talent, there is a need to innovate to stay relevant and competitive and attract talent, there is a productivity challenge, and there is a profound issue of mental health and well-being. I was in Greece in the summer with my daughter, who's a free diver, and if you go for free diving, then people ask you, what are you taking? And apparently, talking to her trainer, he said she was the only one in the last 2 years who is not on antidepressants, which was devastating to hear. So there's a big issue in terms of well-being. All of this stuff, we need a week to cover them. I'm just going through them quickly. So I'm going to share some news you can use from a global survey we did. We do this survey every year for the last few years. And it's an impressive survey in terms of diversity and in terms of actual size. So we went to 54,000 employees in 46 markets and asked them various questions about what they're looking for, what they're looking in an employer. And this is what 54,000 people said. So they said the cost of living is becoming unbearable. Inflation is actually eating a lot of their disposable income, and only 38% of them have money left at the end of the month. And actually 21% of them, 1 in 5, has more than 1 job. The other thing is the big great resignation we all talk about. Is it going away? No, it's actually getting worse. Last year, 1 in 5 people wanted to leave their employer within 12 months. This year is 1 in 4 people wanting to leave their employer in the next year. Maria talked about skills before. There is 2 types of workforce, according to the survey, the skilled ones and the non-skilled ones. The skilled ones look into the future more positively because they're actually equipped, or they can be equipped to deal with all the changes that are coming. The non-so-skilled ones are the ones who are actually suffering. They are actually glued to their employer because of money, and they're the ones who are actually looking into the future with more pessimism. People are saying that leaders are part of the problem. Only 1 in 3 say that there is free speech in their company, and they actually raise different opinions and disagree or speak freely about whatever they believe. And the last thing, there is positivity around AI. 31% believe that they will increase productivity, and not a lot of people are actually afraid of artificial intelligence. So if we now go into more detail, even though we are saying that employers are not finding enough talent, employees are actually saying that you are not looking hard enough to find the talent. So opportunities are missed because we don't know the right people. Employers focus too much on job history rather than on what people can do. And skills are not obvious from the job history or job title. So what this means is that employers need to really understand their employees and really need to match skills with jobs in the workforce. So in terms of the great resignation, as I said, this is not going away. And this is actually the figures compared to last year. 35% last year said they're going to ask for a rise. This year is 42%. For asking for a promotion, 35% compared to 30%. And as I said, 1 in 4 are thinking of switching an employer within the next 12 months. And the younger you are, the more likely you are to leave. So if you actually look at the generational analysis of this, the Gen Z, the percentage is 35%, not 26%. And for millennials, it's 31%, not 26%, and both are up 8% from last year. So this gives you the message that people are ready to jump off ship. The question is, what do you do to keep them on the ship? So if we now go to the Zoomers, as I call them, who are going to be 30% of the global workforce by 2025, what these people are asking is respect in terms of compensation, and they want transparency of the rules. They want pay transparency, rule transparency, and anything to go with that. They want more control on where, when, and how they work. So bringing them all back to the office is not going to work unless what they do, if they're on board of a ship, of course you need to be on a ship, but if you can work remotely, this is what these people are asking for. They want to be safe and well, and when we talk about safe, it's not just physical safety, but also psychological safety and well-being, opportunities to grow as people and learn new things, and recognize that they have something to offer. And they want people who walk the talk, not just talk about values, but actually live their values. So this is what Zoomers are saying. Now, what should employers do? I mean, the slides I have from now on, it could be, I don't know, from a few hours to a few days on each one, but I'm just going through quickly what potentially you could do. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about is not driven by money. I mean, if you really want to answer the question, what you can do is just give everybody what they want. But obviously, that is not a solution because there are budgets, and you need to prioritize what you're going to spend your money on. So if you don't have a lot of money to spend on increased salaries, the next thing you can do is to look at other stuff that maybe don't cost so much and actually have a bigger impact than increasing salaries, which salaries for me is a hygiene factor, as we call it, not a motivator for people to stay. So if you look at employee engagement, which is very critical, and if you look at all the surveys, it looks like a bell curve. So if on the horizontal axis is from low to high engagement, and the vertical axis is how many people are highly engaged or low engaged or in the middle. It looks pretty much like this. And I spent last 2 years with a brilliant lady from Australia called Linda Boyd, if you want to call her. She was stranded in Cyprus because of the lockdowns in Australia. The country locked her out for a year and a half. So I worked with her for a year and a half, and there's a lot of information that I learned from her, and this is actually, I have to give credit to her for this. So she's saying that in any organization, you have about 15 to 20% the totally disengaged people, and she calls this the terrorists. These are the toxic people that are in an organization and causing harm to the others. Then in the middle, about 60%, you have what she calls the zombies. These are the people who go to work every morning, they log in, they work on their laptop or on the ship, and then they go home. But they're not actually engaged. Then you have the stars, who are highly engaged, and that's 20 to 25% of the workforce. So most employers are aiming everything they're doing on the terrorists, so making people not toxic. But actually, what employers need to do is just move some of the zombies into the stars, so shift the line to the left. And then you have a lot more engagement in people. And employee engagement is extremely important. So another thing that doesn't cost money is energizing and inspiring your people. And there are sort of 3 levels of employees. The first one is the people who do what they're told. They don't use their brain, they just follow instructions. Then you have the second level of employee, who are the people who see proactively problems coming and they come up with solutions. And then, of course, you have the corporate athletes who see the opportunities and go to grasp them to grow revenues for a company before anyone else. So you want to move people, engage them, and move them from executors or obeying instructions to corporate athletes. And who are going to energize people? It's the leaders. And Maria talked about leadership development, and I can talk about hours for leadership development because this is what I do at the academy. So team leaders are true captains, or they're ship leading people in transformation and change, and not a single transformation capitan without actually involving people. That's why a lot of transformations fail. You need to actually involve the leaders. Maria talked about hiring people for skills. Yes, you need to hire people for skills if it's for a specific highly skilled job, but we usually encourage people to hire for talent. You look for talent, and then skills, you can actually teach them. And if you can teach skills if you have great leaders. We have the categories of skill we teach at the academy is not, again, 3 categories, but not as Maria explained. We have the digital, human, and technical skills. And human skills is what we call the soft skills, which are actually the hardest to master. And these are the ones who are actually more relevant in today's world. And when it comes for learning, we have moved away, thanks to COVID, from the classroom learning to the asynchronous learning remotely, which can be scalable, and it is actually independence of place. So it can be done on a ship or anywhere else in the world. Now, inclusion and diversity is what is my passion. I can stand up here and talk for another 2 days on inclusion and diversity. That's what I do for a living. And I could actually have a long, long sort of slide deck on this, but I'll just leave you with this. Speak up culture, as we said, it's a big problem. 1 in 3 people only say that they can speak up. So having psychological safety and speak up culture is very important in organizations. Diverse perspectives, as I said, I'm a corporate rebel and I'm sitting on the board, and there's a reason why I'm sitting on the board. Unconscious biases, there are trainings you can do, there are various things you can do in organizations, because people don't think they're actually biased, but everybody, it's how our brains are wired, are biased by definition. I talked about untapped hidden potential in people, and getting to know them actually will make you understand what they can and cannot do. Energize and inspire and engage people, especially those who are lagging behind. Very, very important, and walk the talk is very important. And the last but not least, work-life integration, as I call it. I don't call it work-life balance, because if it was a balance between work and life, nobody will choose work, everybody will go for life. So I call it work-life integration. It's very now a lot easier to do it through the flexibility. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll say a little bit about the story of PwC Cyprus. In the last 12 months, what transformation we have gone through with a gun on our head over the last 12 months, and how we have done it very quickly. As you know, the war broke out in February last year, and everybody who was working on Russian companies had to actually drop the clients. So what we had to do is drop 20% of our revenues, not over a year, actually pens down, no more work. So when a lot of other providers in Cyprus were actually laying off people and shrinking down, we actually hired more people and managed to turn around the company within less than 12 months into a company that is it has more revenue. We announced results 2 weeks ago than the year before. And how did we do that? It's because we didn't just have a strategy, we actually focused on the culture. And we did a lot of things on the culture side, both at the board as well as at lower levels in the organization, and I can talk about all of that in the panel discussion as I'm running out of time here. So that's it from me. I'll stop here. I can cover more on whatever you're interested at the Q&A session later, and I look forward to connect with all of you either physically here or virtually over there. Thank you so much.